Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Football Field Fun Fest that we call Tinker Talk. I'm Matthew David, and I'm joined by the whoever thought it was a good idea to hire Tony Adams as Granada manager, to my someone who's actually good at their job, Josh Andrews. Hello.
Fine.
Yep.
Okay. Sure.
Right. In a week when football came together in the wake of the attempted bombing of the Borussia Dortmund team bus, we thought it would be nice not to dwell on where it could have tragically ended, and instead focus on what we feel are Dortmund's prospects for the future. Having watched their hastily rearranged fixture with Monaco earlier today, Josh, what did you think of the game?
Do you need a drink after that? Because that was a lot of words for you.
Glug.
Yeah, Dortmund is a strange one because in the first half, Monaco were basically they were keeping Dortmund very, very, very quiet, and then in the second half, Tuchel changed a thing, and Dortmund were brilliant and really, really unlucky not to win.
I think that's the technical term for it, is changed a thing.
They changed a thing, yeah. Changes were subtle, but with Tuchel being the manager, I was kind of looking for these things.
Yeah.
Apparently the commentators weren't. But,
that was annoying. That was so annoying.
Yeah, apparently, like one of the commentators saying that it's probably not going to be a tactical game. Just do your research.
Yeah. This it's almost as bad as that article I was telling you about the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll touch on that for a moment because that really annoyed me.
Go on.
Back page of the newspaper talking about Ozil being linked with Man United and how Mourinho wanted to work with him again.
Yeah.
And part of the way through the article, it talked about how Mourinho was very upset when Ozil was sold against his wishes. Mourinho had not been manager of Real Madrid for 2 months when Ozil was sold. So it's amazing what passes for journalism.
Yeah. I mean, we attempt it on occasion, and we're not, great.
If we don't know something, we say we don't know something, and I'm amazing. Yeah.
Back to Dortmund.
Back to Dortmund.
Yeah. So, in the second half, they took off Bender and Schmelzer. Bender having scored an own goal, and Schmelzer just not really doing anything. And brought on Pulisic and Sahin, I believe. Yeah. And having Guerrero and Pulisic as their wide men basically caused Dortmund to run over Monaco for, again, like I say, the entirety of the second half. And it made for some really entertaining football, I thought.
Yeah, I think the kind of Dortmund-Monaco was always a game that was going to be very enjoyable.
Yep.
I mean, Tuchel was saying that it would have been nice to have had more kind of time to prepare for the game.
Yeah.
Which is completely fair. But I think the first half, they looked a little bit I don't know if it was that Monaco kind of started with a bit of a higher intensity and to an extent at least, and kind of caught them a little bit cold. But I think in the second half, Dortmund were definitely a lot more lively. What did you think of the way that the teams were kind of set up?
Well, Monaco did their sort of standard 4-4-2. Didn't surprise me. Didn't surprise many people, I don't think. And Dortmund sort of set out with this really sort of adventurous 3-back.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. It was one of those sort of things where you see it on some sort of like team sheet projected lineup type thing, and you sort of know already, again, if you watch Dortmund, that is, that it's not going to line up the way that it says on that piece of paper or
definitely
screen or whatever. And yeah, it was very much like, okay, let's see what we get. And it was just really, really aggressive pressing. it didn't seem to work because it just seemed like Monaco pressed better.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always fun with Dortmund when, like you say, when they put a team sheet out, because before the match, I don't think anyone would have thought that, looking at it, Piszczek was going to be a centre-back, Ginter was going to be an auxiliary kind of winger, Schmelzer doing the same thing. Weigel's phenomenal.
Weigel's great.
And is essential to the kind of way that Tuchel wants his team to play, which is essentially like a 3-1-2-4.
Yep.
Where kind of Dembele would often be a sort of centre mid who's attacking as well. So it's almost like they attack with 6 and then defend with less than that.
Yep.
But I think it didn't. I think Monaco caught them out a bit, and Dortmund were unfortunate with. I think was it 2 of the goals shouldn't have been given.
No, the first goal was offside, and it was pretty clear.
That was an Mbappe goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was well worked and everything. Bernardo Silva getting forward from deep and playing a really, really good pass out to, I think it was Mendy.
Yeah, Mendy didn't play.
What was it then?
I can't actually remember who it was, but I was actually going to comment on how well I thought Monaco kind of coped with the absence of their 2 fullbacks, because neither Sidibe or Mendy played. I think they had Raggi and Toure starting as the fullbacks.
Actually, it might have been Raggi, thinking about it. But yeah, the ball was whipped in, and whilst Falcao, who was right behind Mbappe, was onside, Mbappe got the knock, and yeah, it was clearly offside. The linesman should definitely have seen it. But the second goal, which I thought was a bit, I didn't see what was wrong with it until half time.
Okay.
So it was an own goal. Another whipped in cross. Again, I'm pretty sure this was from Raggi. Now. And it just looked like Bender slipped as he headed it into his own net. But what actually happened was Falcao trod on his heel and then backed away very sort of, I don't want to say cleverly, but cleverly,
right,
as to make it seem like he didn't touch him or do anything wrong.
Sure.
And obviously the clip on the heel caused Bender to not jump the way he would have liked, and ended
just
up
a little bit awkward.
Yeah. So clear foul. But Monaco were 2-0 up, and I mean they should have scored a penalty as well. Fabinho missing quite. I think it would have been saved anyway.
I mean, he really went for placement and didn't place it particularly well.
No. But yeah, I think the keeper probably had it covered anyway.
Yeah, I like Berkey.
Yeah.
Berkey's a very good keeper.
Very good keeper.
I think obviously Dortmund, Bender, I think that was his, unless I'm mistaken, I think that's only his second start of the season. And they would have prepared for that game with Bartra intended to be playing there. So I think they probably missed him a bit at the back.
Yeah.
Mbappe, we've praised before on this podcast, so we'll do it again.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He is. I'm pretty sure I said on this podcast a while ago that I was a little bit annoyed with the comparisons made with Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
And the thing that annoyed me this game is that I understood them.
Yeah.
His second goal was, especially in the finish, it was so Thierry Henry-like. It was unreal.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You'd see a lot of, especially younger players, you'd think they'd go through one-on-one and maybe be a bit rash and panic a little bit.
Yeah.
But he was just like, okay, this is fine, I've got this.
Yeah, it was like, in real time, I thought it was going to be one of those situations where it was like, okay, cool, it's gonna be hit and hopefully hit and hope sort of thing. I worded that really badly, but
It's okay, continue.
I'm great. But no, it was one of the coolest, most impressive finishes I've seen from a player of his age ever.
Yeah, it's
Might be
difficult to
exaggerating
think
that,
of.
I don't know.
It's definitely difficult to think of someone who's made this big of an impact in their like. I mean, he played a tiny bit last season, but their kind of breakthrough season in the first team. Monaco are going to get a lot of money for him if they want to sell him, which I don't see why they'd want to, but they'd get a lot.
Well, considering how much they got for Martial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, just ponder that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I think he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Yep.
I know Tuchel as a manager can often be kind of I know some Dortmund fans sometimes think he's not enough like Klopp in terms of the passion he has for the club to an extent.
Sure.
But there's no questioning his passion for football. And there was a great story that I saw a couple of days ago about, I think, when he was at Mainz.
Okay.
He was on holiday and he was at the same place as this Premier League manager who he didn't name.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he was really excited about the possibility of going talking to him and discussing tactics and that kind of thing.
Right.
And when he went to do it, the manager had no idea who he was.
Okay.
And I just thought that was really funny because it kind of shows his. Even then, he's got the same passion, obviously, and wants to discuss these kind of things. There's a great story as well about a time with Guardiola, and they're in a restaurant and people, like onlookers, just saw them laying out salt and pepper and things like that on the table in shapes of to kind of explain tactics and stuff like that. So he's kind of very interested in other people's ideas and all that kind of stuff.
No, that's how you learn, isn't it? You take other ideas and you just sort of make them your own.
Yeah. But I thought that was a cool story, and I think definitely now with what he's been doing at Dortmund, I don't think that manager would not know who he is now, whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the work he's doing at Dortmund?
It's a difficult one to really judge because this season, results-wise, anyway, like it hasn't really gone Dortmund's way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably the most I've enjoyed watching Dortmund ever.
You can see that they're getting towards his way of wanting them to play, and I think it's obviously going to be very, very, very difficult losing Mkhitaryan, Gundogan, Hummels all in one window. Royce has been out injured for more than half of the games this season.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had a lot to kind of deal with, and I think they've come through it quite well. Dembele's been a revelation.
Yeah.
Pulisic is 17, 18 now and doing well for them. And Guerrero, Weigl, they've got a really good young team.
Just a quick point on Pulisic, because I said this a couple of times to my friend who I was with while I was watching the game. His first touch is something else.
Yeah.
The amount of diagonal balls that were played to him, and he just took them down. It was something. It was something.
Yeah, he's definitely an exciting talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you try to think of. I mean, USA obviously want players coming through there, and I think he's definitely the most exciting one that has done, at least in recent memory.
Mm-hmm.
But Dortmund are building a very, very able kind of young squad. Obviously, they've got Toprak joining at the end of the season.
Yep.
The other day they confirmed that Dahoud is joining at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, it's a good signing.
Very good signing. Do you think that, again, it's Dortmund, so given the track record, maybe if these players improve a lot, they won't be able to keep them together. But hypothetically, if they could, how far do you think that team could go?
See, what you've done is you've backed me into a corner with that question because I can't answer that question. because I don't think they're ever going to keep a hold of their players. Not with Bayern being the way that they are.
Yeah, just down to Bayern.
No,
Okay.
it is, because, teams like Bayern, the same could be said about a team like Juventus. They just buy the best players, from within their own league to make sure that they are the best team. And, I don't want to knock that because it's incredibly sort of intelligent, but that for me will condemn Dortmund to forever being the second best team at best in Germany.
Let me ask you the question slightly differently then.
Go ahead.
How many of the players currently there could you see going on to become world-class players?
Ooh. Okay.
Obviously not including Aubameyang, who already is.
Aubameyang already is. I think Dembele will be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Weigel's far off, which is
No, me neither.
ridiculous to say for somebody of his sort of... Like you don't look at like a player like Weigl and sort of like think, ooh, brilliant, world class. You just sort of like he goes about his business, but does it exceptionally well every time.
Yeah. I think looking at Weigl, and I'll throw him in here as well, even though he plays for Bayern. Look at Weigl and Kimmich.
Right.
The fact that in Germany they've got two players there who just... Weigel's appeared from nowhere at a team struggling in the second division.
Yeah.
Kimmich came to the forefront from being on loan at Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice if there were some players here in England that just appeared from nowhere like that.
Because Vardy's not enough.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I guess I mean, Vardy's still not okay. Right.
I'm talking about the players who look like they could be world-class players who just sort of come from a lower tier sort of club.
All right. So how Arsenal fans viewed Coquelin the year he came back from Charlton?
Oh boy. And on those oh boys. No.
Firing shots left, right, and centre once again.
Anyway.
Right.
Back to Dortmund and the players you think could be world class.
So yeah, Dembele, Weigl.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree. I think you've got players who, if they develop in the right way, which obviously Dortmund will be hoping they do, you've got people like I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, but Isaac or however you say his name, the young Swedish striker.
Yes.
Got Emre Moore, who could be great. Dahoud coming in.
Pulisic, to be fair.
Yeah. Ginter as well as a young player. Guerrero already looks like a fantastic player.
I'd probably place my bets that not all of them are going to be world class.
It'd be scary if they did all become world class.
Especially if they did manage to keep them. But they won't, so... you heard it here first.
Yes.
One of the players we have
Tinker
named
Talk calling
will
the
go
future.
to Bayern.
But which one? Find out in...
Find out in 2 seasons' time.
Future transfer window.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was going to ask you if you thought that they could challenge Bayern in the near future, but you don't seem to think that that's a possibility.
No.
Okay. I'm not sure how much I agree, but I also would find it quite difficult to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is because Bayern, they're going to win the league again this season.
No,
They've only
really?
lost 2 games so far this season. Then obviously they lost in Champions League to Madrid tonight. But
we don't talk about that.
but I do think that they've made not slight in terms of the quality of their football. I think they've made a back step from the last couple of seasons already.
Mm-hmm.
Robin, Ribéry, Lahm, Alonso aren't getting I mean, two of them are retiring at the end of the season. They're going to be very difficult to replace.
Yeah.
I think that this particular squad at Bayern, although has been fantastic, is coming towards a sort of a point where they're going to have to rebuild a little bit.
That's fair.
So if Dortmund are to challenge Bayern, this would be the time when they need to take advantage of, which makes the timing of when they've signed these young players probably quite good timing, because by the time that Bayern are doing their rebuild, if that's what they're going to do, you would assume so.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they get there, that would be when you'd be hoping that these players would be at the next level.
I don't know so much an issue, but the counterpoint to that argument, I guess, is that yes, while you have 4 players who, excellent players that they are coming to the latter stages or end of their career, Alaba, Lewandowski,
If he
Douglas
doesn't
Costa.
go to Madrid, yeah.
Like you have a number of players who are peaking right now.
Of course, but when Klopp was winning titles with Dortmund, Bayern had players who were coming towards that point. So, I mean, maybe they hadn't quite arrived. So Müller, Schweinsteiger, Lahm, Neuer. I think Neuer was there.
Yeah.
So, they could have these fantastic players, but if the way that Dortmund play is effective, they are all in sync with each other, know the tactics and everything.
Sure.
It's possible. Whether or not Tuchel's going to be there for that long remains to be seen. He's only going to have a year going into the summer. He's only going to have a year left on his contract, and if rumours are to be believed, there's no rush to discuss a new one, which I think is mad.
It's mad from Dortmund's perspective. I'd agree with that.
Yeah. But I think if they all kind of keep it together, then they could possibly, in the right circumstances, challenge Bayern in the near future.
Well, here's another one of my bold predictions. Right now.
I'm listening.
The year Tuchel leaves Dortmund will be the year one of the aforementioned players will join Bayern.
That is quite the claim. You heard it here first. I did not say it, but this could... I did not say it, but I listened to it, so therefore, if it happens, I'll take some credit too.
Yes, but
yes,
I am the Mystic Meg journalist / podcast making person.
So smooth.
Yes. Just
there was... Oh.
Yeah, I feel like we may be going on to the same point here.
The one last really classy thing that has kind of got to do with Dortmund.
Yeah, go on. You take the lead.
So, in the aftermath of what happened with the team bus and the postponement of the match, on Twitter, #BedForAwayFans was trending.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely fantastic. So basically, Dortmund fans basically opened their homes and invited Monaco fans in so that they could stay for the game the next day without having to try and find a hotel, because you'd imagine that they would have all been booked up really quickly.
Yeah.
It's just a really kind of nice touch. The Monaco fans in the stadium were chanting Dortmund, Dortmund. So there was, I think something like this is probably going to build a good kind of friendship, relationship type thing between the two clubs, and it kind of shows that football as a sport, everybody who loves football is kind of like a big family.
Yeah.
Moving on, because we spent a long time talking about Dortmund.
We did.
I wanted to talk about the Juventus-Barcelona match and how mad it was.
Right. Juventus?
One of the more interesting pronunciations of Juventus I've ever heard, but continue.
Right. Juventus did a PSG first leg. Only better or worse. Your call. Your
Solid.
opinion. Go ahead. Up to you.
I mean, I know that Luis Enrique basically called it a third half from Paris. The first half, at least. He was much happier with the second half. I think that Barcelona played a lot better than they did against PSG in the first leg.
Right.
Which means that I also think Juventus played better than PSG did.
Okay.
Because Juventus never looked... I can't remember a proper chance. Saved Iniesta one-on-one with Buffon, where Buffon pulled off a remarkable save.
Yep, I know which one you mean.
I can't remember Barcelona threatening too much anyway.
That's fair.
Whereas I think in the PSG game, TT hit the bar. There was a couple of one-on-ones, I think. PSG were obviously the much better team in that game. But you get my gist. Juve looked like scoring almost every time they went forward. Quadrado was fantastic.
Yep.
Mandzukic as well worked his socks off. Absolutely bullied Sergio Roberto.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the man of the day. How good was Dybala?
I've been really excited about Dybala for a number of years now. That number, I think, being 2. Just
Yes.
to...
It's still a number.
It's still a number.
It's still a number.
He's been great recently, but in that particular game, it was just different class. His turn for, I believe it was his first, was just like, it's like he didn't turn with the ball. He just sort of went around it and shot. It was... I can't describe it well on a podcast.
It was just a fantastic kind of
just watch the goal.
That
yeah, just watch.
Had no right to go in.
No, absolutely no right at all. It was very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Again, top-notch journalism there.
Yes. I think the Juventus defense was brilliant as well. I think, but it wasn't even Balzac. Chiellini and Bonucci as a partnership. You'd struggle to find a better one in world football.
You wouldn't find a better
one. Allow me to think for a moment.
Go ahead. You can think for 10 moments.
10 whole moments, okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, imagine a monkey juggling.
I think the only one I can think that comes close, and that's based on the ability of each player, would be Boateng and Hummels.
Yeah, that's the first one that came to mind for me as well. But
I, however, probably don't think they're as good.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, they're fantastic. Dani Alves was brilliant as well. I've never seen anyone deal with Neymar as well as he did.
Yeah, he just followed him for the whole game.
Yeah. Neymar dropped into the middle. Where was Alves in the middle? And Quadrado kind of covered it. It was a brilliant kind of dynamic on the right.
Yeah, I mean, it worked even better when they were attacking, because all the balls that were sort of aimed for Quadrado, even when Quadrado didn't get them, Alves was there. It's just the doubling up on the right-hand side was top-notch.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Jeremy Matthew got brought off at half-time. I don't know if that was because of how rough of a first half he was being given.
Very.
I mean, it's likely that that's why he was brought off. I don't know if there was an injury or anything, but they moved TT to left back in the second half, and it helped a little bit, but he was still having a very difficult time. And he's been very, very good so far for Barca.
Mm.
So they gave him a little bit of a headache. I mean, for Barca, you would... Against PSG, we were absolutely shocked, and it was incredible when they came back in that match. I feel like this is going to be a more difficult one to come back from.
Yeah. As good as PSG's defense is, they're not Chiellini and Bonucci, Alexandro and Dani Alves and Buffon.
Yeah. Even in front of that.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
Khedira, Pjanic.
The whole team. I don't expect Juventus will not press in the second leg.
Yeah, PSG kind of just went with we probably won this, let's try not to concede too many.
Yeah.
I
Whereas
don't see Allegri being someone who would do that.
yeah, I think it'll be a case of let's play the same way because we didn't concede any before.
Yeah. I mean, it is still definitely the tie to watch in the second legs.
I can't imagine Barcelona being anything but gung ho, and I'd be surprised if they didn't go to their 3-back that they did against PSG.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that they didn't start with that against Juventus.
Mhm.
To be honest, I would have thought that would have kind of outnumbered Higuain and Dybala.
Yeah, depends how much of a threat you'd have expected Cuadrado and Mandzukic to be.
I mean, there's a lack of sense, at least from my perspective. I'm sure there was a reason for it, but from my perspective, Luis Enrique must have known that Juventus were going to play Mandzukic, Dybala, Higuain, and Cuadrado.
Yeah,
and at times that would be a flat four attacking.
Mm-hmm.
So to play a 4-back with Sergi Roberto at right back and Machu at left back just doesn't. It just didn't seem right.
No.
It didn't work at all. They were completely outmaneuvered, outpassed, just outdone in every regard.
The thing that sort of surprised me, I guess, is that I get Sergio Roberto's been playing at right back for Barcelona,
Mm-hmm.
but Mandzukic has been playing on the left quite often.
That's been his position for the majority of this season.
That's a mismatch.
Oh, without a doubt.
And like how does that not come into? And I'm sure it did. And I'm not, but how does that not come into your consideration when picking a team?
Yeah, I think Barcelona have a lack of kind of options at right back, which is quite shocking considering they're Barcelona. I mean, I don't. What I would have thought might have been an idea is maybe if you had. There's been times when Mascherano's played or moments where Mascherano's been at right back this season,
Mm-hmm.
and the absence of Busquets obviously did not help at all.
Nah, of course not.
But I would have thought it might have made sense to maybe have Mascherano drop in to fill the void for PK, and PK compete with Mandzukic in the air.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it didn't happen, and I don't know if it would have mattered anyway because Cuadrado on the other wing, there was no dealing with him. Dybala played like a combination, and this is going to be huge praise. He was like a combination of Muller and Messi.
You're going to have to follow through with your explanation here.
So Muller's best trait, as well as being a phenomenal footballer, is his finding of space.
Yeah.
And linking up with his teammates as well. And Messi, obviously, his close control, his finishing. Dybala's first and second goal were very Messi-esque finishes.
Yeah, I don't. The goal mentioned earlier, I don't think there's another striker in the world other than Messi that would have scored that.
Yeah. And they were both Messi-esque finishes from Muller-esque positions.
Right.
So you would often see Muller dropping back to the edge of the box for a pass. You would often see him in that little area where there doesn't look like there's any space in the penalty area. And Dybala did that fantastically. And it's hard to find better plays than that.
Yeah. Do you think Dybala has... Not so much do you think he has the potential, because I think we all do.
Ooh.
But do you think he could ever be the best player in the world? Because if that's the praise that you're heaping on him...
I don't think so. I don't think he'll be far off that. My voice has just stopped working. That was weird. I think the next kind of best player in the world once Messi and Ronaldo kind of stop is and was playing for Barcelona. I think Neymar. is that next one. I don't think Dybala's. I think at a peak, Dybala probably won't be too far off.
Mm.
But until he gets the kind of returns that the other players that we're mentioning are getting, I don't think he'll be in that. He's one of the players who has glimpses of being that top player, but it's getting that consistency. If he gets it, he'll be phenomenal, and no one will be able to deal with him.
Cool.
But I think at the moment it's infrequently shown. Would you agree or disagree with kind of my thoughts on that?
I certainly agree that Neymar's the most likely to be the next best player in the world. I think you could also look at someone like Hazard, especially if he moves to Real Madrid.
I don't completely agree, but that's fine.
Fine.
I think Hazard's nearer to his peak than Neymar or Dybala are, and I think both of them are. Neymar's definitely better than Hazard. Dybala, I think you could argue is.
I think if the move to Real Madrid, which is sort of being, heavily sort of linked, I think if that happens, when you look at players like Ronaldo and Bale as well, both of those players improved dramatically once joining Madrid, and they were both very, very good before joining them anyway. I think it could still happen with Hazard as well. That's my thinking.
I guess that's not unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Barca are likely to come back?
Never say never, but I don't see it.
Would have killed me if you said never say never, but never.
Yeah, I nearly did, but
Nah. Okay. Our last topic that we wanted to discuss is to do with the news that Canada, Mexico, and the United States are planning to launch a bid to host a World Cup in 2026.
Yep.
Which kind of begs the question: do you think that would be a good place for the World Cup to be? And if not, where else do you think it would be good to have a World Cup?
Right. Which of the three countries are you asking if it should be if it would be good?
I mean, it's a joint bid, so having it across the three of them.
There's so many questions that would sort of like encompass that bid. Like, I mean, the sheer distance between stadiums, for one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure that this would be a thing that they, try and minimize. But imagine playing in Mexico one day and then having to travel to Canada.
Yeah, I mean, the way it normally works with competitions is the group bit is normally in one kind of closer area, and then the next knockout rounds would be in X area and X area, and there's usually a decent amount of time apart between them.
Yeah,
they'd work out the logistics of it. I'm sure.
I'm sure, but it just sort of seems a bit illogical to have to when you could just do it in the one country.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of having it in those three because it's. I mean, you've got Mexico, which is. I can't remember if we talked about this before in the podcast or if it's something we discussed in private, but to do with the kind of tactical innovation and everything that gets tried out in Mexico.
Yeah.
And Mexico have a good team, and I think the passion there will probably be quite intense.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, as a footballing country, maybe isn't a particularly prominent one. But I think that adds a kind of tad more picturesque kind of environment to joint bid.
Sure.
USA obviously by then will be hoping that they'll have a team of Pulisic's. That is a really difficult thing to say.
A team of Pulisic's.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like that kind of
yeah
potential of player.
Yeah.
And I mean, USA, Americans love their sport.
They do. I mean, as well, you have to think about the whole development of their own sort of league as well. I mean, you'd expect the MLS to be somewhat bigger than it is now by then, and not that the actual league in and of itself matters greatly, but if they're developing players from within America as well, and they'll have a lot of time to do so in between now and then. Football is growing over there, is my point.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'd quite like the idea of that bit. Obviously, there's a few problems that would need to be ironed out, like if it's a long way off, but whether or not countries from certain areas of the world qualify, to do with kind of USA and where they're going.
Yeah.
But that's obviously political. I don't think that will come into the decision too much about where the World Cup will be hosted.
Right.
Are there any places you can think of that would be quite nice to have a World Cup? Because I thought of one almost immediately that I think would be a pretty logical next location after obviously Qatar and Russia.
Not far away.
Australia.
Okay.
Or Australia and New Zealand. Because there's never been
joint bids everywhere.
Yeah. Because there's never been a World Cup in kind of that part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's been one in kind of the major countries in most of the rest of the world, to an extent.
Mm.
So Europe, it's been in a lot of places. South America just had Brazil. It's been in USA before.
Yeah.
It's been in I don't think I mentioned South Africa, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
So I think having it in Australia or around there would be a logical kind of place to have it. And I think it would be quite a nice place to have it as well.
It's not exactly a footballing nation.
I mean, neither is Qatar, neither is South Korea.
Would you have said Qatar would have been a good place to have a World Cup, though?
That's not the point here.
I mean, I think it is.
I mean, it was 92 the USA World Cup, wasn't it?
94.
94?
Yeah,
obviously. Gosh. That wouldn't have been a footballing nation either, but they hosted it. And...
No, but they're a sporting nation, and like a very sort of grandiose sporting nation. Do you know what I mean?
I get that, but I don't know. I think Australia would be a nice place to have it anyway. Whether or not a place needs to be a kind of prominent footballing nation to host a World Cup is something you could debate, but I don't see it being completely necessary.
I guess not. But then that begs the question: what makes a good host for a World Cup?
I think somewhere that's got a sort of friendly environment and kind of welcoming, because there's people from all over the world going to the matches.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very important one. I think there's got to be some kind of passion for sport in the country, and Australia does have that. It might not be football,
Sure,
but I think that's definitely a thing that is there. I think they need to have, and this is something that's been skipped a lot, and it's caused problems for Brazil being a country that's an obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
I think there definitely needs to be the infrastructure already in place for the most part.
Sure.
To be able to host South Africa's another example, to host a tournament like the World Cup.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know what else there would be. Stuff to see as well, I guess. For the fans when the matches aren't on. I think that's, from my point of view, unless I'm missing something really obvious, I feel like that's probably about it.
I think it is the sort of diversity welcoming sort of environment that you get in some countries, you get less of in other countries. I think that's important. The tourist attractions, completely agree. But if football isn't a big sport, I don't understand the logic in not wanting to host a World Cup, because there's great benefits for the sort of economy and everything else, but just why would a country want to host a tournament devoted to a sport that they aren't particularly big on themselves? It's a bit baffling for my small head to comprehend.
Fair enough.
But to go back to your question about countries I think would be quite good to host a World Cup, I mean, I think America would be a very good place to host a World Cup in 2026?
2026, yeah.
I would expect it. I would expect, especially around that time, for it to be a really good country to host a World Cup. I think Mexico again would be sorry, words getting broken. Would be an interesting one. All the three countries that are actually in the bid individually, I have no problem with, as it happens.
Fair enough.
Bit of a cop out answer, I guess, but
so is that we're giving our backing to their bid until one comes along that we like a bit more?
I'm gonna give my backing to one of the countries individually. I still don't understand the logic behind all three countries doing it.
I think it's quite nice to. It's almost a show of unity between the particular countries, whether or not that's necessary. I mean, it's split costs as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it remains to be seen. It's early days yet, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when the decision is. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with Canada, Mexico, and USA hosting it all together. Or, as you say, on their own wouldn't be bad either.
Yeah, I think on their own logistically just makes the most sense. I don't have a problem with the three-way bid at all. It's just I think logistically one of the three countries makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll work it out.
Sure.
Well, what time is it?
It's
time for. This was really badly done, but go ahead. What time is it?
No, I'm gonna need one more big one.
Yes, it's time. The moment you've all been waiting for.
No, you've built it up too much now. It's a quiz. It's a one question thing that we do with each other. What? Words?
Everyone was so excited when I was like, the moment you've all been waiting for, and then you said the quiz, and they were like, we weren't waiting for that.
Yeah, it's true. Well,
here it is anyway.
Yeah, take it or leave it.
So, I shall ask my question first.
Okay.
And on the subject of World Cups,
Oh dear.
do you know how many countries have won the World Cup?
Yes. But I'm going to have to work it out first. And if I get this wrong, I'm going to look like a right idiot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a... I mean, you'll know this country has won it. Germany and West Germany has won.
It's funny, because I was going to interrupt you to ask that question.
Fair enough. I beat you to it.
Yeah, okay. So, imagine if I, counted them now in my head and missed Germany completely.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. Right, so they've won it. 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 They've won it.
I mean, it would have made more sense considering I wanted you to tell me the teams. If I said, who's won the World Cup?
Okay. Right. So, in 2014... Jesus, I had to think about that so hard. It was like, was it... Yeah, in 2014, that was Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So Germany have won the World Cup.
Yes.
In 2010, it was somebody, and I'm actually... You won it in 2010? Oh, God.
I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah. Spain have won it.
Mm-hmm.
Italy have won it.
Mm-hmm.
I always get the two mixed round, but France and Brazil have won it, so they're 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Don't actually remember who won in '94.
I mean, you miscounted just now, anyway. Up until now, you've only said 5 teams.
Germany, Spain, Italy, France, Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say 5 teams? Okay, right. I've confused myself. And
They're the 5 you said, and you said that you'd said 6.
Oh, fair. Right, brains. Right, so Uruguay have won it.
Mm-hmm.
England have won it.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're never going to shut up about it. Plenty more years of hurt.
Anyway.
Now am I... Eight teams. Argentina being the 8th, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, you did the whole breathing in thing, and it was like, yeah, I know, yeah, okay, cool.
One day I'm going to do that and you'll have been wrong.
Yeah, and I'm going to cry.
Oh, that sounds enjoyable. Okay, what's your question?
Okay, well, this is linking back more so to the Juventus-Barcelona game.
Okay.
So, you know how Allegri is the current Juventus manager, and he looks like he's going to be knocking Barcelona out of the Champions League as it stands.
Yeah.
Who's the only Juventus manager ever to do it?
Oh boy. To knock Barca out of the Champions League.
Yes.
Okay, Allegri's not done it. Conte... Right, so going back more recently. Barcelona won it in 2008. Well, not... No, they didn't. Yeah, they did. No, they didn't. What am I talking about? So, 2008 United won it against Chelsea. Who knocked out Barca that year? I'll come back to that one in a moment. 2009 Barca won it. 2010 Inter knocked out Barca. 2011 Barca won it. 2012 Chelsea. So okay, so it's not Conte. Which is when it gets bad now. Trying to remember Juventus managers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. This is gonna sound like a really silly one if I'm wrong, considering I can't actually remember whether or not for certain he was even Juventus. Was Capello?
I'm relatively sure Capello was Juventus manager. However, me only being relatively sure of that means that you are wrong.
Okay.
It was Lippi.
Okay.
In 2003, I believe.
Fair enough.
Yep. Didn't actually beat Barcelona until extra time.
Okay.
Yeah, in the second leg.
Fair enough. I mean, this is a bit where you get to be all gloaty and stuff.
Nah, I'm above that.
Oh, shots.
There we go.
Yeah.
See you guys next week.
Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, click the little bell as well if you want a notification whenever we upload a video. That's all good.
Yeah.
Just come find us wherever. All our links are in the description of the video. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.